Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It is Friday, August 2nd, and you don't know what that means, but it happens from time to time. But it's time for the High Risk Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, acknowledging our new tribal chief, Jeremy Pierce. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. And today's show, SummerSlam 2024 preview, predictions, what's going to go down is happening tomorrow night, but let's get into it. All right, so before we start with the 2024 show, let's take a quick look at the 2023 show, what happened last year. So last year's show had 9 matches that took place in Detroit, Michigan. So we had Logan Paul defeating Ricochet, Cody Rhodes beating Brock Lesnar, LA Knight winning the Slim Jim SummerSlam Battle Royal, Shayna Baszler defeated Ronda Rousey by technical submission in the MMA rules match. Gunther beat Drew McIntyre, retaining the Intercontinental Championship. Seth Rollins defeated Finn Balor, retaining the World Heavyweight Championship. Bianca Belair defeated Asuka and Charlotte to become the new WWE Women's Champion. Asuka was champion. Who remembers that? Io Sky then cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase, defeating Bianca Belair to become the new WWE Women's Champion. And in the main event, Roman Reigns defeated Jey Uso to retain the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. This was contested under tribal combat and for recognition to become the new tribal chief of the Noai family. But that was a good show. But how does this year's show stack up? This year's show is taking place at the Cleveland Brown Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, and we have 7 matches on the card. Once again, WWE does this thing where we have not a lot of matches on the card. For some reason, Johnny Gargano and Ciampa aren't on this card defending their tag team championship, even though they're defending them on SmackDown tonight. And Miz and R-Truth don't have a match on this card, but Miz is hosting WrestleMania. This is stupid. Also, the women's tag team titles are taking place on title match that's taking place on SmackDown tonight. There are a few other things that they could have done on this card to just flesh it out. You could have clearly done 2 members of the Wyatt Six versus the Creed brothers. You could have, gotten Tiffany Stratton on this card. There's a bunch of things you could have done, but 7 matches just doesn't seem right. But let's dive into it, and we'll start first with CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre for the hatred of each other. This is a match with a special guest referee who is Seth freaking Rollins, and this is probably one of the 2 matches I am looking forward to the most. This by far has the best story going forward right now. So this all stems from CM Punk making his debut and essentially trying to apologize for his past deeds, whatever. And Drew McIntyre's like, no, I don't like you. I don't need you. I don't need to be a part of a company with you. I don't need to be friends with you. Just stay away from me. And Punk has been a thorn in Drew McIntyre's side. Punk has cost Drew a multitude of world championship matches. He has cost him a lot, and McIntyre has returned in kind with payback. At one point, Drew McIntyre quit because, the higher-ups were giving CM Punk a pass. And I agree with Drew McIntyre. It's always great when the quote-unquote heel makes all of the sense. And CM Punk has done nothing in this feud to be cheered. Now, remember this. CM Punk was supposed to be facing Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, but he got hurt because, in the words of, a certain someone in AEW, fragile mind, fragile ego, fragile body. and Punk has not been cleared up until here at SummerSlam. So he was supposed to face Seth. They pivoted into a great moment with Drew McIntyre. Punk has constantly been involved in Drew McIntyre's matches, and everything boils here. Me personally, I would make this match the main event. And the caveat is Seth Rollins. He doesn't like Punk. He doesn't like Drew. He's made that clear. He's made that very, very clear. And he told them that as a special referee, it's his way or the highway. Might give you a 10 count, might count you out, might allow a chair shot here or there. Just don't put your hands on the referee. So the wild card in this match is Seth Rollins. How will he go about refereeing this match? What will he let slide? What will he do? So, personally, Drew McIntyre has to win this match. Period. CM Punk can't win this. CM Punk has done nothing to win this match. He has done nothing to put himself in a position to win this match. Yes, Drew McIntyre has the bracelet with the name of the dog and his wife, whatever, but Drew has been getting screwed left and right for like 3 to 4 years now, and he's right. He's got to win this match. We can then pivot to Drew going back for the world championship. We can pivot to CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, because that's where some real money is at, and Seth versus Punk. And Drew has done a great job pretty much carrying this. So he carried this feud for the majority of it, especially for like the last 3 months. But Drew McIntyre has to win here. I am picking Drew McIntyre to win here. This needs to be a fight. This needs to be a bloodbath. Period. So next up, we have Sami Zayn defending the Intercontinental Championship against Bron Breakker. And look, let's be real. We're crowning Bron Breakker here. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Sami has, I don't want to say escaped, but he's done what Sami Zayn does, and that is, be the best, be able to overcome the odds, and that's really good for him. I am all for, keeping Sami Zayn over, but right here, right now, listen, he's not winning this match. He is not winning this match. It's time to crown Bron Breakker. It'll be as good as the last match, might even be a little bit better, but it's over for Sami. Lock it. And next up, we have Logan Paul versus LA Knight. Yeah, for the United States Championship. And you have to crown you have to crown LA Knight here. They fought at WrestleMania in a triple threat match, and we originally thought it was going to be Logan versus Knight, but we're getting it here. This has been very solid. The war of words between the two men, the animosity, I like it. Logan Paul's been a fine champion, but you can't keep having LA Knight lose the big match. LA Knight cannot keep losing. LA Knight cannot keep being the bridesmaid. He has to walk away as the champion. Listen, we know Logan Paul's in the news recently, and I think that's going to really solidify him as losing this championship. But he's been a fine addition to the roster. He's still an asshole. He is still a piece of shit, but he does the job, and he's good at it. I can admit that he is very good at this thing we call professional wrestling, but LA Knight is walking away as your new United States champion. Then we have Cody Rhodes defending the Undisputed WWE Championship against Solo Sikoa, and this one is very tough to predict. Why? Solo has made a new bloodline, and they have been nothing short of dominant, especially if they win the tag team championships tonight. You kind of got to get more gold into the bloodline, right? But Cody has finished his story defeating Roman Reigns for the championship at WrestleMania. Can you have Cody win here? And then another wild card is, what will Roman Reigns do? We're all expecting Roman Reigns to return for this match. I expect this match to be the main event, but Roman Reigns has got to show up, right, with Paul Heyman. And this story is not even close to being finished. Solo has done a fantastic job, and I've been saying for at least 2 weeks now, I think Solo Sikoa is winning this match. I think Solo is winning, but does that include him walking away as champion? That's the tough question. This is a really, really big spot for Solo, right? This match is more than likely the main event because we're going to deal with the Roman Reigns return, but Solo's got to step up, and he's shown that he can do that. What will Jacob Fatu do? What will the rest of the bloodline do? There is a very small possibility that Solo could walk away as champion. I am intrigued here, but I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick Solo to win, whether that's by DQ or as walking away as champion. I'm not sure, but I think Solo wins here. How does Cody recover from that? How does Roman Reigns fit in? There's so many moving parts that's the decision that I've landed on. Next up, we have Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley, with Liv Morgan defending the Women's World Championship. And this is the other match I was talking about that has great story. This all started back to last year when Rhea put Liv on the shelf, right? Liv returns. Liv has been the runner-up a lot. I mean, she's been a former world champion, but more often than not, she's been the runner-up, right? So she injures Rhea Ripley. Liv stated time and again that Rhea is going to pay for what she did. Now, mind you, Liv is well within her rights to get revenge. Rhea felt no remorse. So Liv tells Rhea, I'm going to take everything from you. And the first thing she did was injure Rhea and got the world championship away from Rhea. Becky won, but Liv got the championship at Queen of the Ring. So now Liv has been champion. Then she said she was taking everything away from Rhea, right? So she said she was taking Dom, and she's worked really, really hard on that. Part of me thinks she's trying to take the Judgment Day. So Rhea returns, and Dom has been caught in a few compromising positions. Rhea and Dom reconcile. He tells Liv off, and now we have the match, right? A lot of us believe Dom is turning on Rhea. Like nearly everybody is believing that Dom turns on Rhea and Rhea gets kicked out of the Judgment Day. I don't think that happens, only because if you watch Rhea and Dom together, they have been ride or die for each other. And I just don't think Rhea being gone for, that brief period of time would cause him to turn. I do believe that someone is getting betrayed. And I think it's going to be Finn that does it. And I think Finn's going to be the one with JD to do something to Rhea and Dom and bring in Liv. I do not think Rhea Ripley's winning here. Liv needs a win, another big win to solidify her reign. She beat Becky for the title, but she really hasn't defended it enough, and she needs another big win. Like I said, you get it here. You can get some more mileage out of this story, and Liv will go do some crazy things to retain the championship. So I am taking Liv Morgan to walk away and retain the Women's World Championship. Next up, we have Bayley versus Nia Jax. Nia is getting this WWE Women's Championship match as she won the Queen of the Ring tournament, and who better to really face than Bayley? This is weird because I'm enjoying Nia's run. I'm enjoying Bayley. I love me some Bayley. I just think Bayley's reign is over. And it sucks. Bayley won the Royal Rumble. She won at WrestleMania. And she's Bayley. She's the great hand that you can always count on, but I think you have to crown Nia. You know what I mean? They're going to put on a really, really good match. And Nia's got to be given something for the great run that she's been on. So I think Nia wins. And we can get a couple rematches here and there, but the wild card, it's another one for the show, it's Tiffany Stratton with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Remember, Tiffany and Nia are friends, and they've got each other's back. And Tiffany almost cashed in until Nia stopped. It was like, what are you doing? So that's where I'm at. How does Tiffany fit in to all of this, right? Does she pull a Seth and a Drew and make the match a triple threat match? Does she wait until there's a definitive winner and a loser before she cashes in? This can go a plethora of ways, and I'm excited for it. I still think Bayley's losing, which is okay, because I think Nia has earned a championship reign. Keep your eyes on Tiffany Stratton. And our final match is the World Heavyweight Championship match, with Gunther getting this opportunity after winning the King of the Ring. He'll be facing Damian Priest, the current World Heavyweight Champion. And over the last week, they've really added some sauce, some heat to this match. Essentially, we've played into the point of Gunther is entitled. Gunther believes in this perverted view of respect, and that Damian Priest as champion perverts the World Heavyweight Champion. And we're telling the story of Damian Priest from, he was homeless, he's worked for this, he's fought for this, and this is what he's about. You know what I mean? This is good. Priest has been a really good world champion. You know what I mean? He's got some solid wins, and I think he's winning here. Because once you downplay your opponent like Gunther has done, your win doesn't mean as much. So I think what happens is Gunther gives everything he can to Priest. Priest overcomes, and now Gunther sees, oh man, I should not have taken Damian Priest lightly. You know what I mean? And I think that Gunther will win at Bash in Berlin, which is the next pay-per-view. But this is going to be a solid match. Priest has shown himself to be a fine champion, to be able to put on that match, to be able to carry the load. So take Damian Priest to retain and walk out your World Heavyweight Champion. So one more time: Drew McIntyre over CM Punk, Bron Breakker over Sami Zayn, LA Knight over Logan Paul, Solo Sikoa over Cody Rhodes, Liv Morgan over Rhea Ripley, Bayley over Nia Jax, and Damian Priest over Gunther. But that is our show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching today's show, The Ballad of Damian Priest. We're going to take a look at this man's career from his start as Punishment Martinez up into, well, this most recent betrayal by Finn Balor and everything in between. But you know what's next, so just go on and hit my All right, so when we do these ballads, you know we got to take a look at the best matches that these superstars have had. And of course, we start with number 5, 2021. What is that? August 30th, 2021 versus Drew McIntyre and Sheamus in a triple threat match on Raw. This was kind of a slow but surely coming out party. He hadn't fully arrived just yet, but he made it. He was making a name for himself. He was in throes of, the United States Championship reign, coming off of that North American Championship reign, and to be in the ring with Drew and Sheamus, two vets that know the business, that have been there, he was able to hold his own. How about most recently, number 4, SummerSlam 2024 versus Gunther, when he was defending the World Heavyweight Championship. And this is very, very simple. It's very hard to have a bad match with Gunther because Gunther is just that good. But usually you see the pattern when someone wins a championship at SummerSlam, they usually hold it up until, if they win the championship at WrestleMania, they usually hold it up until SummerSlam, and that's what happened here. But Priest showed that he can go, that he was able to go blow for blow, move for move with Gunther, a man that a lot of people think is really in a league of his own. Damien didn't come out the winner here, but he had a fully arrived at this Point number 3, Elimination Chamber 2023 versus Seth Rollins, Austin Theory, Montez Ford, Bron Reed, and Johnny Gargano in an Elimination Chamber match for the United States Championship. Now, he did not win this match, but this is one of those moments in 2023 where he had fully showed up. He was in many feuds, he was having many matches, and he was on the radar. You know what I mean? He got eliminated third in this match, but that was not without him putting in some work, and this was a fantastic match. The Chamber sometimes just feels a little bit dated, and he was really able to wreak some havoc here, put a name in, put the work in, and kick some ass. Number 2, Payback 2023 with Finn Balor versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a street fight. If we go and look at that Payback card, right, it was an okay show. Okay, it's better than okay. It was a really good show, but this match was the one that ultimately stood out above all of the others. This was for the Unified Tag Team Championships that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn were defending, and in the end, Priest and Balor were able to walk out as champions. This was such a good match, and it overshadowed pretty much every other match on the card, which featured Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus in a steel cage match. That's how good this was. And of course, number 1, Backlash 2023 versus Bad Bunny in a San Juan street fight. This was just phenomenal. Even though Cody and Brock were the main event, Bad Bunny, Damian Priest absolutely stole the show. The crowd helped them steal the show. This was fantastic. Nothing short of fantastic. These two were killing it left and right, and you'd really be surprised just how good Bad Bunny is. Like this dude can go, and when you can trust Damian Priest to help a celebrity who doesn't wrestle put on a fantastic match like that, you will end up making magic, and that's what they did here. We'll be right back. Spotlight is on, and it's shining on one Dominic Mysterio. Why is it Dom? Because of his ties to the Judgment Day, and I inevitably see a feud going on between him and Damian Priest, and Damien tried to warn him, Damien tried to help him, and now Dominic, Dirty Dom, ex-con Dom, I think he's fully arrived. North American champion. He did a heel turn when he was already a heel, and he's got some of the best heat in all of professional wrestling. This kid is hated, and it's working. I think he has truly figured it out. So now the question is, how do we elevate him even more with this new version of the Judgment Day? How do we elevate him more with this relationship with Liv Morgan? Time will tell, but I think the future is bright for this young man. We've heard about the beginnings of Damian Priest. Grew up in New York City, was homeless at one point, and picked himself up by his bootstraps to make his way into the world of professional wrestling. So let's go there. He trained at the Monster Factory right in New Jersey. It's a great wrestling school. Let me run you down some of the alumni that have graduated from the Monster Factory, Boss Mahoney, Bam Bam Bigelow, Big Show, Chris Candido, Chris Harris, D'Lo Brown, Godfather, the Headbangers, Ian Riccaboni, Matt Riddle, Notorious Mimi, Damian Priest, Preston Rance, Raven, Sheamus, Sanjay Dutt, Steve Macklin, Tony Atlas, QT Marshall. It's a great school. It's a great school, and that's where he got his start. So in 2015, he made his first appearance in Ring of Honor under his real name, and he competed in some dark matches, losing first to the Romantic Touch and then winning again, finally getting a W, right? So after that, he started being billed as Punishment Martinez, and he was part of the Ring of Honor Top Prospect Tournament. And who was in that tournament, you say? Well, we said 2015. In that tournament was some notable names: Donovan Dijakovic, Dalton Castle. I'm sorry, not the 2015 year. The year was 2016. In that tournament was Leo Rush, Jason Kincaid, and Colby Corino. The tournament was ultimately won by Leo Rush. So he's in there, he makes a name for himself, and he ended up signing with the Ring of Honor, became a villain, lined himself with BJ Rittner and Kevin Sullivan. Rest in peace. And he entered in a rivalry with one Steve Corino. And there are many greats that went through Ring of Honor, and he ended up being in the 2016 Honor Rumble, where he had a really impressive showing. And then in November of 2016, he was in the Survival of the Fittest, where he ended up being eliminated. But he's growing more and more and more. He went on a feud with the tag team of War Machine, composed of Hanson and Rowe. Who is War Machine? That would be the Viking Raiders. And first wrestled to a no contest and then defeated him in the Anything Goes match. And through Ring of Honor's working relationship with New Japan, he was able to appear in the Honor Rising Japan 2017 event. And on that first night, he teamed with Los Ignorables de Japan members Hiromu Takahashi and Tetsuya Naito to defeat Dalton Castle, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Ryusuke Taguchi. And he picked up the win for his team. That's right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's beautiful. On the second night, he unsuccessfully challenged Hiroki Goto for the Never Openweight Championship, and he started using the name Damian Martinez when he went back to Ring of Honor after his stint in New Japan. And he's making a name for himself. He's getting wins, he's getting losses, but he ultimately just couldn't put it together. And he finally won his first championship in 2018 when he defeated Silas Young to become the TV champion. And it was good. And it was good. And it was good. And he was making good defenses. And in 2018, he made a great defense against Hangman Adam Page in the Baltimore Street Fight. But then Death Before Dishonor came, and guess what? He defended the championship again, defeating Chris Sabin. And after the match, he attacked Chris Sabin until Jeff Cobb made the save. And then on September 29th edition, September 29th, his contract with Ring of Honor expired. He opted out of a contract offer. So in his final appearance, he ended up dropping the TV championship to Jeff Cobb, doing the job. Absolutely fantastic work. And that's what you have to do. So his stint in Ring of Honor was very, very successful. He got to work in Japan. He got to just ultimately build and grow as a wrestler. So now he makes his way to the WWE. Now he made an appearance as a security guard, because everybody makes an appearance as a security guard when you start at NXT. So now he's in NXT. He's using the name Punishment Martinez, and he's here, right? He debuted as a heel. He lost to Matt Riddle, and then he became Damian Priest, right? But he was using Punishment Martinez's name at house shows, and he started getting some vignettes where he was reintroduced as he wanted to live forever, right? And he finally debuts. He defeats Raul Mendoza, and then he defeats Keith Lee. And he starts feuding with Pete Dunne and Damian Priest, culminating in a triple threat match at War Games to become the number one contender to the NXT Championship. That is a big jump up. Damian Priest lost. Pete Dunne won that match. He then was a part of the 5-on-5 Survivor Series match at Survivor Series. He was representing Team NXT. So right then and there, that shows you the faith that they have in him. And he was on the team with, let me get this, Ciampa, Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, and Gunther. Well, he was going by Walter at that point. And this was the famous match that ended with Keith Lee and Roman Reigns putting on a show. Go back and watch that match. So they already had faith in him that they had put him on Team NXT, right? He then started feuding for the North American Championship along with Keith Lee and Dijakovic. He lost the few times he got a chance until ultimately, when Finn Balor was attacked backstage by an unknown attacker, it was revealed to be Damian Priest. And they had a match at TakeOver in Your House where Priest lost to Balor. Look how time flies. They go from, we'll get there. So he was highly praised by Triple H. So they had faith in him, and he turned face and he defeated Oney Larkin, Ridge Holland, to qualify for the North American Championship ladder match, and he finally won at TakeOver 30. Now we're cooking with oil. He's defending the championship, taking on Thatcher, taking on Johnny Gargano, taking on the likes of Leon Ruff and a bunch of other people. And Leon Ruff finally took it from him, and then he got it back, and it was a joke, and it was funny, and it was cool, and they believed in him. And then Johnny Gargano got the title, and also they're like, it was so much where they elevated this championship, right? He loses to Karrion Kross in his final NXT match, and he gets called up. He enters the Royal Rumble in 2021, eliminating John Morrison and Miz Elias, and came before being eliminated by Bobby Lashley. That's great. And then he debuts on Raw, and he's a face, and he's teaming with Bad Bunny. And Bad Bunny, he helps him win the 24/7 championship, and things are going well. And he's feuding with The Miz. He's getting a tag team match at WrestleMania. He and Bad Bunny defeated Miz and Morrison. This is great. Loses a match here, loses a match there, but they clearly believe in him. They clearly have plans for him. They clearly have faith in him. And then things start changing. We have the pandemic, and he goes through all of this stuff, right? He's facing Sheamus, he's facing Drew in that great triple threat match, and he's facing Jeff Hardy, retaining his championship, and he's doing a lot of things. And he had a very long United States Championship reign. He's facing IC champion Shinsuke Nakamura at Survivor Series, but something was up, and he started becoming a tweener. He started being just a little bit heelish, and he ultimately lost the championship to Finn Balor. Remember that. He lost the United States Championship to Finn Balor. Priest's reign lasted 191 days, and Priest fully turned heel for the first time. So then we get the Judgment Day. So Edge forms the Judgment Day, right? And it's him, it's Priest, it's Rhea. And they're feuding with AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan. Priest and Damien have history. And now Liv and Rhea have history. So they were trying to get Finn to join. And it just wasn't working. And Edge introduced Balor as the newest member of the Judgment Day. However, Finn, Damien, and Rhea attacked Edge, kicking him out of the stable. And then they begin a feud with Ray and Dom in an attempt to recruit Dom. At SummerSlam, Damien and Finn were defeated by the Mysterios. Edge ever turned, caused some interference. That happens. Clash at the Castle, Priest and Finn lose to Edge and Ray, and nothing's working until Dom turns on his deadbeat dad and joins the Judgment Day. And then at Crown Jewel, guess what? Finn, Dom, and Priest defeat the OC and AJ Styles after interference from Rhea Ripley. They defeated the OC again, and the feud was over. So now we have it. Now we have it. All rise for the Judgment Day. And they essentially, ladies and gentlemen, are dominating Raw. They win the tag team titles. They win both titles. Rhea's champion. Dom is North American champion. They are winning matches. They feud with Bad Bunny. We get that amazing match. First, we have the match at WrestleMania, which, you know, they lose. It's okay. We got the amazing match at Backlash. And Priest loses a qualifying match for the World Heavyweight Championship, but that's okay, because the Judgment Day are still dominating Raw. But something happened. On the June 5th episode of Raw, Priest unsuccessfully challenged Rollins for the World Heavyweight title, right? Ballad interfered during the match, much to Priest's chagrin, as Priest claimed he didn't need the Judgment Day to beat Rollins. Remember, the Judgment Day were all about being a family. And this was the first sign that Priest wanted to go it alone. We get some Money in the Bank. Priest becomes Mr. Money in the Bank, and he holds that briefcase. He tried cashing in a few times, but Drew McIntyre ultimately stopped him time and again. Priest tried to cash in, but he still had a plan. Finn and Priest lose the tag team titles in the ladder match at WrestleMania. They lose both sets of titles. It sucks. It happens. But on night 2 of WrestleMania, Priest cashes in, and he becomes the World Heavyweight Champion. And we have ourselves a new World Heavyweight Champion. Damian Priest did what he set out to do. And this is special because he becomes only the second overall Puerto Rican world champion, with the first being Pedro Morales. And Priest has been a fighting champion. He defends at Backlash. He didn't want the interference from Finn and JD McDonough, because he wanted to prove that I love you guys, but I need to prove this to myself that I can do this alone. He defends against Clash at the Castle in Scotland, and he retains due to interference from CM Punk. He defends again against Rollins, and there's a stipulation on the line that if Rollins loses, he can't challenge while Priest is champion. And if Priest loses, he has to leave the Judgment Day. Drew McIntyre at this point was the new Mr. Money in the Bank. And he went to cash in. And guess who screwed Drew? CM Punk. So, Priest wins. Seth can't challenge anymore. And everything is just messed up. And while this is going on up until this point, Gunther is the king of the ring. So there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. And then at SummerSlam, I personally thought Priest was going to retain and then lose the title to Gunther at Bash in Berlin, but clearly I was mistaken. And Finn Balor turned heel, kicking Damian Priest out of the Judgment Day. I'm sorry, Finn Balor was already a heel. He ends up kicking Damian Priest out of Judgment Day, who was already showing signs of being good, signs of being a face. And now, here we sit with Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley out of the Judgment Day, and they are a team now. So the question is, what's next for Damian Priest? Well, one, he and Rhea, which I'm dubbing the Terror Twins, have to come out. I'm not going to say on top. They just have to come out looking good. They are super over, especially Rhea. And everything you set out, everything that led up to this cannot fail Damian Priest. His feud with Finn Balor has to be great. This keeps him away from the world title for the time being. And they just need to have a blood feud for the rest of the year. This joint needs to go on for at least 4 or 5 months. I need to see first blood matches. I need to see a Hell in a Cell match. I need to see a Lights Out match. They need to elevate everything and everyone. That's what's got to go down for them. He and Finn are great at what they do. So ultimately, I expect them to succeed. I expect them to put on an excellent show while elevating each other, elevating the New Judgment Day, elevating Rhea, elevating Dom, elevating JD, elevating Liv. Everything has to work out with them. Period. And after that, he has to stay at top. He has to be a consistent challenger for the World Championship, whether it's held by Gunther, Punk, or Rollins. He's got to be like, all right, it's time to go get back something that's mine, that I earned, because I think the feud with him and Gunther is money. Damian Priest is the star. He's got to stay in the sky. Looking forward to it, man. But that is the Ballad of Finn Balor. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Come today's show, we are going to be talking about the Wyatt Six. They made their long-awaited debut. They made their in-ring debut. Things are looking good. So we're just going to talk about them. But for now, you know what's next. So just go on and hit my music. We know why the Wyatt Six attacks people. We know what their message is. So here are the 5 next feuds for the Wyatt Six. Number 5, Damage Control. It's very, very simple. They turned their back on Bayley. There needs to be a way to get Nikki Cross involved, and it is very, very simple. Damage Control turned their back on Bayley, and they can go one by one through Damage Control, through Kyrie, through Asuka, and then to the Ultimate Betrayer, Dakota Kai. It should be fun. It's a way to get the women on TV and to give them a sizable feud, especially since Damage Control are faces now. It'll give them a way to make amends to Bayley. Number 4, Sheamus. Sheamus turned his back on Pete Dunne. We are seeing it right now. We are seeing the anger that Pete Dunne is unleashing on Sheamus. The Brawling Brutes are no more, and that's pretty much due to Sheamus leaving, turning his back on Pete Dunne, turning his back on Ridge Holland, And this would be the perfect way to maybe get Dexter Lumis involved. Have him face Sheamus. Even get Rowan involved. Just Hoss versus Hoss, meat on meat fighting. It's all good. And then at the end of the day, Sheamus can once again, like Dakota Kai, make amends. Number 3, Ivy Now. We just saw this happen on Raw. Ivy Now turned her back on Maxine Dupree. Maxine explicitly told Ivy, listen, I love you, but I gotta stick with my family. They're my boys. All right, Gable turned his back on us, and I'm sticking with Otis. I'm sticking with Tozawa. And Ivy has her new family with the Creed brothers, who she's always been with, but more importantly with Chad Gable. This is once again a way to get Nikki Cross involved. Number 2, the Bloodline. Yeah. You'd be surprised that this isn't number 1. I'll tell you why, because when you hear who number 1 is, you're gonna be like, okay, I get it. But the Bloodline have turned their backs on all of their family, with the exception of Jey Uso. You know what I mean? The Wyatts don't have any smoke. They ain't got no beef with Jey, but Jimmy, Roman, Solo, Tongaloa, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, yeah, everybody can catch the work from the Wyatt 6. You turned your back on your family, and we all know how big, how special the Afanoai family is. This would be the perfect feud, perfect for like a War Games type event. And number 1, Dexter Lumis. Yeah, this is very, very simple. In kayfabe, Dexter Lumis is married to Indy Hartwell, and it is one of the best love stories we've had in wrestling in a very long time, and yet no mention of her. Something's got to happen. They have to go to their partner. They have to go to their brother and say, yo, you need to make amends with your wife, or we will make you make amends. It is very, very simple. I would love to see this, and it would show just how important they all are as a group, that, yeah, we even have to call out our own to make things right. But let me know what you guys think. We'll be right back. The spotlight is on Indy Hartwell. Yeah. And here's why. She's still married to Dexter Lumis. And this is part of me doing some fantasy booking. I could see something like the Wyatts making Lumis make amends. But Indy, she doesn't accept his apology, which forces Nikki Cross to get involved to force her to accept the apology. And now we have a way to get the women back on TV. And let's be honest, Indy Hartwell is not really being used. There's a lot of women not being used right now. Indy is a former NXT Women's Champion. She's a former Tag Team Champion. She's different. There aren't many hosses in the women's division on the main roster. You have Nia, you have Indy, you have Ivy, Bianca, and Jade. They outclass a lot of others, and Indy needs a spotlight. You clearly believed in her in NXT. It's time to believe in her now, and she needs to be involved some way, somehow, with the Wyatt 6. The Wyatt 6. The Wyatt family. Yes. A tragic story, but a beautiful one as well. These members have come together to show the importance of what it means truly to be a family. So we start off with, of course, the Wyatt family. Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, Luke Harper. They came together as the Eater of Worlds, led by their leader, Bray Wyatt. Cause chaos, have people confront themselves, later joined by Braun Strowman. At one point, they had Randy Orton in the group. They had Alexa Bliss in the group. They had Bryan Danielson in the group. And it was all for them to confront something important. Some overcame, some didn't. And tragically, we lost Luke Harper and we lost Bray Wyatt. But their legacy lives on now through the Wyatt Six. So, just who are the Wyatt Six? They are a group of individuals who were forgotten, who were disregarded, who are hurt, who were tormented. And they came together as a family, as a grouping of individuals who need each other. So, the Wyatt Six consist of Joe Gacy, Dexter Lumis, Nikki Cross, and Eric Rowan, all led by their leader, Bo Dallas. And each member of the Wyatt Six takes the form of one of the puppets from the Firefly Funhouse, with the exception of Uncle Howdy. Nikki Cross represents Abby the Witch. Joe Gacy represents Huskus the Pig. Dexter Lumis represents Mercy the Buzzard. Eric Rowan represents Ramblin' Rabbit. And Bo Dallas himself is Uncle Howdy. But let's talk about each of these members. We start off with Joe Gacy. He who represents Huskus the Pig. Joe Gacy started out in CZW for a very long time. Up until 2020, that's where he made a name for himself on the indie scenes. He then made his way to Evolve at some point and then joined NXT. While in NXT, he led himself his own group, and they called themselves the Dyad. No, they weren't the Dyad. They were Schism. And this faction really didn't work. And this was all after Joe Gacy was doing this millennial Gen Z gimmick. But the Dyad consisted of Joe Gacy, Grizzly Young Veterans, and Ava. Didn't work. And he was quickly forgotten because there wasn't anything good for him. But then came Uncle Howdy to bring this man in who was forgotten. Huskus the Pig is greedy. He is hungry. And there's a reason, each person represents one of these figures. I think Joe Gacy himself is the one member of this group that will benefit the most from the Wyatt Six. Dexter Lumis was kind of already here, had a name for himself. Same thing with Nikki and Eric and Bo. But Joe, he's the one that benefits the most from this family. And he's that weird member of the group where he's like big, but he's also got some speed to him. It will catch you off guard. Joe is another person who, and they will benefit from a faction, and there are a lot of people that can benefit from a faction. Let's talk about one Dexter Lumis. He who is Mercy the Buzzard. Now, for those of you that don't get the reference, Mercy the Buzzard refers to the old WWE character Waylon Mercy, who was almost like an early interpretation, an early version of what Bray Wyatt would become. Waylon Mercy was ahead of his time. Go look him up. Waylon Mercy, the wrestler, was also very close friends with the Rotundas, Bo and Bray's father. And Dexter is in a weird position because he was in NXT, had a love story. Remember, he is still married to Indy Hartwell. Was forgotten, thrown away. And he comes back in a weird storyline with The Miz. And then he was forgotten once again. You're noticing a trend here. Dexter Lumis has a very special and unique charisma about him. He is a strange one. And I think he fits this grouping so perfectly. You know what I mean? He's clearly committed because it doesn't look weird with him with dreads. And he's the chaotic one. He's the one where you think to yourself, I'm scared. And his video was one of great intrigue. You see, he was drowning and people laughed at him, but he got his freedom by that drowning. It reminds me so much of the Hardy's Lake of Reincarnation. But as he was sinking, he was looking for a brother, and now he has it. And Eric Rowan, and Joe Gacy, and in Bo Dallas. There's something there. It's going to come. And then we have Nikki Cross. She represents Abby the Witch. Abby's weird because we hear so much about Sister Abigail. Remember, Sister Abigail was Bray Wyatt's finisher, and now it's Uncle Howdy's finisher. Abby represents something hard for Bray. Something evil on the inside. See, when it comes to Nikki Cross, remember, we saw her for weeks and weeks and weeks just roaming by herself. We've seen her as the hero. We've seen her a part of Sanity. And now here she is, part of the Wyatt Six. See, Uncle Howdy tells Nikki that they lied and they ignored you. And now you can come embrace us. That's what we're getting with Abby. She rarely speaks, but her presence is terrifying. And I'm going to tell you this right here, right now. There is someone she is going to come into great contact with. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's Alexa Bliss. I'll be the first to admit, y'all know, not the biggest Alexa Bliss fan, unless she's been with Bray Wyatt. That's when she became infinitely more interesting. And she had this special connection to Bray Wyatt. But remember, her and Nikki were also tag team partners for a good long while, and they were tag team champions. So how does Nikki, someone who's been lied to, someone who's been forgotten, deals with her former friend, her former best friend, coming back? How does Alexa feel about seeing the one true person that she had a bond with disappear on her? That's the intrigue. Alexa Bliss is one of the very few people on the main roster who has a lot to do with the Wyatt family. That is going to be very, very interesting. Nikki Cross is a great talent, and something needs to be done with her. And here we have her as Abby the Witch. I am very much looking forward to this feud. I'm assuming there's going to be a feud between Nikki and Alexa. You know what the crazy thing is? She can be Abby the Witch. What happens to Sister Abigail? Is Abigail Abby? Ugh, I'm salivating here. And then we have Eric Rowan. He represents Ramblin' Rabbit. And he and Bo are the two where you feel for them. Eric Rowan was part of the original Wyatt family, and he lost Bray and Luke Harper. And in his video, solemnly he says, "Who cares about him? I'm just rolling." If that doesn't cut you deeply, I don't know what does. But he has a brother in Bo Dallas. Eric Rowan is outside of Bo the biggest connecting tissue of the Wyatt family and the Wyatt Six. And even though Bo might be the leader, Eric Rowan's the heart and the soul and the strength, the love and the courage and all of that and more for the Wyatt Six. This will finally be his time to shine, because you got to remember, Luke Harper got his time to shine. He was the one giving the singles push. He was the one that went to AEW, became Mr. Road Elite, and was absolutely fantastic up until his untimely death. Bray was already going to be a star. So who cares about Rowan? And lastly, we have our leader in Bo Dallas. He represents Uncle Howdy. And here's the thing I love about the Wyatt Six. There's not a lot of supernatural spooky elements like there was with Bray here. There's a little, but they take their mask off to reveal their true selves. So I think Bo's the outlier, because I could see Bo and Uncle Howdy being two different people. Bo was hurt hard when we lost Bray. And his videos were so good in saying that, are you doing this to capitalize on your brother? Are you tarnishing his legacy? Or are you expanding it? Uncle Howdy was created by Bray. And Uncle Howdy became this malevolent force that Bray had to fight against. Bray Wyatt was a genius. We went from the Eater of Worlds to the Firefly Funhouse to the White Rabbit with Uncle Howdy. Beautiful. And Bo, I truly believe, will get his time to shine. Remember, he was fantastic as NXT champion. He was really, really good as the B team. But Uncle Howdy is the thing that lives inside of you. Bray had many unfinished ideas, and we're getting them now. Uncle Howdy is that idea to create the legacy of the Wyatt Six, but to respect the legacy of the Wyatt family. And I can't think of a time where Uncle Howdy involved himself with the Firefly Funhouse, but now here we are with the characters taking over and Bo Dallas leading them. The hurt, the pain, the anger, the love he has for family is coming. So, Uncle Howdy, Ramblin' Rabbit, Huskus the Pig, Mercy the Buzzard. We are doing this. We are bringing ourselves together along with Abby the Witch. Didn't forget about you, Nikki. To show what it means to be a family and that you do not turn your back on family, because you gotta make it stick. But that's our show for today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. All in 2024. One of the biggest wrestling shows of the year, one of the biggest wrestling shows for AEW will be going down tomorrow, and we will be making our predictions, previewing the card. It's going to be a good time, but for now, you know what's next, so just go on and hit my music. All right, so before we get to the 2024 card, we got to look at 2023. So last year's All-In was the first professional All-In and the second overall. Remember, the first All-In was the independent show that essentially launched AEW. But All-In 2023 took place last year at Wembley Stadium, where it's taking place this year. And the attendance was about a little over 72,000. That is great. It's one of the biggest non-WWE shows ever produced. It was great. But let's get into the results. So we had a couple matches on the pre-show. We had two. So first we had Better Than You, Baby. That was Adam Cole and MJF defending the tag team championships, the Ring of Honor tag team championships, against Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis of Aussie Open. And Better Than You, Baby retained. Then we had Hook defeating Jack Perry by submission in an FTW rules match to win the FTW championship back from him. Our opening contest was CM Punk defending the Real World Championship against Samoa Joe. CM Punk retained, and we know what all happened here at All In before the match even went down. We don't need to rehash that. Then we had a trios match with Bullet Club Gold, the team of Jay White and Juice Robinson, teaming with Konosuke Takeshita, taking on the Golden Elite team of Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, and Kota Ibushi. And guess what? Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita won that match. Then we had a tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships as FTR retained the AEW Tag Team Championships, defeating the Young Bucks. We had a Stadium Stampede match, because what's a big stadium show without a Stadium Stampede match? So with the team of Eddie Kingston, Penta El Zero Miedo, and the Best Friends Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, and Orange Cassidy defeated the Blackpool Combat Club and Ortiz. Then we had a fatal four-way match for the AEW Women's World Championship, with Saraya defeating the champion Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, and Toni Storm to become the champion. We had a coffin match with the Darby Allin and Sting defeating Christian Cage and Swerve Strickland. We had a singles match with Will Ospreay defeating Chris Jericho. We had a House Rules Trios Championship match with the Acclaim defeating the House of Black to become the new AEW World Trios Championships. And the House Rules stipulation that the Acclaim chose was there were no holds barred, which means just a street fight. And in the main event, MJF defeated Adam Cole, retaining the AEW World Championship. But that was a good show. I would probably say the women got the biggest shaft, as there was only one women's match on the card, as opposed to this year's show where there's 3 women's matches on the card. And a lot of things that went down on that show are kind of going down here. There's some of the same people on the card. Bullet Club Gold for this year. Bullet Club Gold, Hook, MJF, Jack Perry. Who else we got? FTR, Young Bucks, the Acclaimed, Britt Baker, Toni Storm, Darby Allin, Christian Cage, Swerve, Ospreay, Jericho. So like they know what they're doing. They have their people. But let's get into this year's card, and we start with the tag team match on the pre-show 0 hour, as it will be Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii taking on Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. And the stipulation is whoever wins this tag match, the winning team gets to choose the stipulation for the following match 2 weeks later at All Out between Willow and Chris. So Willow and Ishii are part of the conglomeration, which is a faction consisting of Ishii, Willow, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and Kyle O'Reilly. Great there. And this match stemmed from essentially Chris turning on Willow and ready for her time to shine. And I've just dug it. These are two of my favorite women. Y'all know how much I love Willow Nightingale. And this has been a very, very good feud so far. Essentially what happened up until this point, well, the main point is that Chris Statlander defeated Willow Nightingale in an eliminator match to get a CMLL Women's World Championship match at All Out. So there's that there. As for this tag match itself, first of all, there's probably going to be another match added to 0 hour. So we'll get to that when we get to that. But I think Chris and Stokely are winning here. They just have to get a couple more W's in this feud. Ultimately, I think Willow's probably winning the feud. But this is going to be a fun match. There's going to be comedy spots, especially between Ishii and Stokely. And then you're going to have the hard-hitting hosses between Willow and Chris. But take Stokely and Chris Statlander to win this match. Then let's get to the main card. We'll start with Chris Jericho defending the FTW Championship. That is the For the World Championship against Hook. And I know I'm not the only one who very much enjoys the learning tree gimmick. This is such a fun gimmick. And what we have right now is that Jericho wanted to help the younger generation. He wanted to be the one to kind of spawn things forward, and Hook just wasn't having it. And the ultimate crux of the storyline is, since Hook didn't want a mentor in Jericho, he actually ended up getting a mentor in Samoa Joe and Katsuyori Shibata. Jericho ended up taking the FTW Championship from Hook, rechristening it the For the World Championship, because he's all about the world. He has his stable, the Learning Tree, because that's what he is. He's the Learning Tree. He's got the Bad Apple and Brian Keith, and the Redwood and Big Bill. But this is going to be a fun match. I know a lot of people are souring on Jericho, but there are many more who aren't souring on Jericho. This match will allow Jericho to look good. Ultimately, this is tough because Jericho lost last year and Hook won last year. I think this is tough because part of me says Hook's going to win, but I also want to see the For the World Championship gimmick and the Learning Tree gimmick continue. I'm going to go out on a limb, right? And I'm going to take Chris Jericho to win with help from maybe the Redwood, and that will spawn the return of Samoa Joe, this return of Takeshita, who has come back, but a big return, getting these three together and setting up another match at All Out. So take Chris Jericho to win here. Next up, we got a coffin match between Darby Allin versus Jack Perry, and this is simple. This is a match between two of the pillars in AEW on the men's side of things. We never really discussed the women's pillars, but if I go out on a limb, I would say Mercedes, Willow, Chris, and probably Sky Blue or Julia Hart. But Darby teamed up with Team AEW to help them win the Anarchy in the Arena match, and during that match he was going to set Jack Perry on fire. That's how they won the match, and the Elite quit. So Perry did not take too kindly about being threatened to be lit on fire, and he sent the warning, and then Darby sent the warning by attacking Brandon Cutler. So after all of this going down, they decided, we're going to handle this. So Jack Perry is the current TNT champion. This match is for the TNT championship, and this coffin match is official. Now, when you have your specialty match in AEW, you just don't lose it. Sting didn't lose a coffin match. Darby hasn't lost a coffin match. It's going to be a weird day for the Elite, because there are a couple matches on here that I didn't think would happen, but are kind of think would happen, but aren't on the show. We'll get to that later. But I'm going to go with Darby winning here. He just doesn't lose this match. This is going to be a crazy match, another stipulation match with them all for. I just think Darby's winning here. He's going to get that title back, and the title is important. Even though, Jack Perry made it look good, he hasn't really had a lot of defenses. I just can't see Darby losing this coffin match. So take Darby out in here. Next up, we have the Casino Gauntlet. Now, this is probably the most interesting match on the entire card, because we know some of the competitors in the match. We know Orange Cassidy, who has the number one spot. We know Kyle O'Reilly's in the match. We know Roderick Strong is in the match. I think it would be safe to assume Claudio Castagnoli and Kazuchika Okada is in the match. But it's all about the surprises. So first things first, if you don't know what the Casino Gauntlet is, think of it as a reverse Royal Rumble. Instead of wanting the number 30 spot, you want the number 1 spot, because the match is only over when there's a winner by pinfall or submission. So the match can actually be over before all of the participants actually enter the match, which is really, really good. It's fun. So Orange Cassidy has the number 1 spot. We know who's in it. The question is, who else do we think will be in it? Well, Ricochet. I am going to go on a limb and say he's probably in the match. I think Bobby Lashley will be in the match. I think Michael Oku will be in the match. Part of me wants to say Simon Miller will be in the match. And if TNA wasn't working with the WWE right now, I would say Joe Hendry would be in the match. But he can't. That would be crazy. That would probably be the biggest pop of the night, with the exception of one other person. But this is going to be a fun match, and the winner of this match actually gets a championship match, I believe, at a later date, because I think the Royal Rampage winner, Darby Allin, he gets the title match at Grand Slam. So I think the winner of this match gets the title shot at All Out. And another person I think is in the match who will figure prominently into the main event will be Hangman Adam Page. I also think Jeff Jarrett will be in this match. So the winner is going to be tough, because if I pick Hangman to win this match, that means to me Swerve Strickland is winning the main event. If I pick Orange Cassidy to win this match, anybody can win. So this is very, very tough, and I don't think Ricochet's winning. I don't think Bobby Lashley's winning. So I'm going to go with the safest bet, in that I'm going to pick Hangman Adam Page to win this match, and I'm going to talk myself into the main event for the world title. But this is going to be a very, very fun match. It'll have a lot of surprises. It'll have a lot of just unique opportunities and storylines put together. Next up, we got the Trios Championship ladder match. This is a fatal 4-way ladder match with the Patriarchy defending against the House of Black, the Bang Bang Gang, and spoiler alert, the team of the BCC, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pac. We thought Pac would have a one-on-one match here on this card. We know he'll be fighting for the International Championship, seeing how he is the number 1 contender, but he'll be getting that match at All Out. And this is a total toss-up. The BCC aren't winning, right? The story really centers around the Acclaim, the Bang Bang Gang, the House of Black, and the Patriarchy. The BCC and Pac are here just to be on the card. They're not winning, period. I could see the Patriarchy retaining as they really snuck and stole the championships, and the House of Black are really, really pissed. Now, the House of Black lost the Trio Championships last year. The Bang Bang Gang were also on the card last year. So I like all of these teams involved. Christian says he's using the Trio Championships to get a shot at the World Championships. He's going to elevate himself back up the card. In my heart of hearts, I think the House of Black is winning this match. In my head of heads, I think the Bang Bang Gang is winning this match. But the smart money is on the Patriarchy to retain. Seeing as how this is a ladder match, I do believe that stipulation really doesn't fit anyone. Maybe leaning more towards the House of Black, but then again, we have 4 horses in this match. We got Claudio, we got Brody King, we got Luchasaurus. We have 3 horses because the Bang Bang Gang does not have a horse. They're the wild card here. I wouldn't be surprised if they walked away as the winners, but I'm going to go with the Patriarchy to retain here. I think Christian just finds a way to just keep the championship. I do. I think he is sneaky enough to retain. Next up, we have the Tag Team Championships defended in a triple threat match, as it will be the Young Bucks defending against FTR and also against the Acclaim. Now, this is supposed to be a regular tag team match, but essentially it boils down to this. The Young Bucks aren't defending the championship because they're EVPs. Why would they need to defend them? The Acclaimed were number 1 contenders, and they were on their way to defeating the Young Bucks for the championships. FTR, as great as they are, disrespected the Acclaim and felt like they could just jump the Acclaim and get another match against the Young Bucks because they're great rivals. And the Acclaim was like, nah, that blatant disrespect will not stand with us. It just won't. Okay? So, after the Acclaimed lost their tag team title match due to FTR interference, we had a number 1 contenders match on Collision between FTR and the Acclaimed. That match went to a draw, so Tony Khan made a triple threat match. And I love the serious side of the Acclaimed. I love this way of them saying we can be fun, we can have a good time, but when we need to nut up or shut up, in the words of Daddy Ass, we can do it. And if that's the case, I am taking the Acclaimed to win here, period. End of story, end of discussion. FTR doesn't need to win. The Young Bucks don't need to win. It's not going to be a good night for the Elite. It just won't. So take the Acclaim to win here. It's just going to be a good time for everybody. Well, it won't be a good time for the Young Bucks or FTR, but take the Acclaim to walk out of Wembley as your new tag team champions. Next up, we have the TBS Championship, as Mercedes Moné will be defending against Britt Baker. And listen, I'm putting it to you like this: Mercedes is winning. Period. End of discussion. End of story. The story we have here is Britt thinks she's the face. She thinks she's top. She thinks she deserves a championship match, and that's fine. She can get one. She's not on Mercedes level. Mercedes debuted Camille finally, and Camille is the great equalizer. I am hoping that Mercedes can drag a good match out of Britt Baker. And Britt's serviceable. She just doesn't belong in the ring with Mercedes. And I think it's going to be a good match. It's going to get some time. But ultimately, the funny thing is, we're not here for Mercedes. We're not here for Britt. We're not here for Camille. Every single person watching at home and in that stadium are very much expecting Jamie Hayter to return. Period. That's what we want. Jamie Hayter. I love Jamie Hayter. Do I think she's going to return? Yes. We haven't heard anything. When you don't hear anything about someone that's out, their return is imminent. And I think what's going to happen here is Mercedes is going to win. She's going to tap out Britt Baker, and after the match, Mercedes and Camille are just going to be beating her down until Jamie Hayter returns, which is going to set up a tag match at All Out. But take Mercedes Moné to win here, and their contract signing was really good. It was acknowledged that, yeah, Mercedes, you're a legend. You get your roses. You help move this industry forward, but that ain't you anymore. And Britt, says, listen, I'm different. You talking about I don't have a plan A, plan B. No, this is it. But take Mercedes to win here and expect the return of Jamie Hayter. Next up, we have the American Championship, aka the International Championship, as Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF, will be defending against Will Ospreay. And this is going to be fun. A lot of this starts back to Will Ospreay injuring Bryan Danielson with the Tiger Driver and not using the Tiger Driver to finish matches off, right? And Max and Will had a classic for the International Championship with MJF. He stole that victory and he rechristened it the American Championship. Now let's get one thing straight. This is not about Max being an American. This is just a way for him to get booed in Wembley, because if he was a face, he'd be cheered. This is going to be a really, really good match. I don't think it's going to go the full hour, obviously, like it did on Dynamite, but the shots being thrown at each other, the barbs, it's stinging, and we see why MJF is that dude. We see why he has returned. This is going to be really, really fun. I just don't see Ospreay losing in Wembley. And the funny thing is, a lot of us expected him to be facing Swerve for the World Championship, and that's why we did the match at the previous two pay-per-views ago, so we can get that thought out of our brain, because we don't want Swerve to be a transitional champion. But Will Ospreay will be walking away as your new International Championship, getting that belt back. And I think that will set up a rematch at All Out. But take Will Ospreay to win here. Next up, we've got probably the one match on the entire card that has had the best build-up, the best storyline, and the best characters. And that is the AEW Women's World Championship, as Timeless Toni Storm will be defending against her former protege in Mariah May. All roads have led up to this. If you don't know, the crux of the story is All About Eve. It's clear that's what they're mimicking. And essentially the story of All About Eve, it's a very, very famous movie, is the starlet, the star, brings in a protege, and the protege ultimately usurps the star. The star is Toni Storm. The protege was Mariah May, and Mariah May won the Owen Hart Cup to earn this championship, and then championship match, and she completely turned on Toni, and it was bloody, and it was bad, and it was brutal. And Mariah explains that this is what she always wanted. She played Toni and she got what she wanted. And here's the thing. The only reason Toni is getting cheered is because, one, her gimmick has been very, very well done and she's really, really popular, and that Mariah turned. But you got to remember, Toni hasn't really done anything to be recognized as a good guy. She's been a bad guy all up until this point. But here we are. I'm sorry to say to a lot of people that love Toni Storm, she's not winning this match. This has all been set up to elevate Mariah May. And I'm personally going to make Mariah May one of the pillars, okay? So Mariah, Willow, Chris, Jamie Hayter. Those are your pillars of the AEW women's division. And Mariah May has earned this. And she deserves a lot of credit for really elevating the storyline. And Toni Storm deserves even more credit for this character change that has been absolutely fantastic. I think this is going to be a really, really good match. Toni Storm is one of the best in the business, and Mariah May, even though she's young, has shown that she's very much capable of really bringing it. And that's what she's going to do. Mariah May is walking out as your new AEW Women's World Championship. Now, on to our main event. Swerve Strickland defending the AEW World Championship against Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson earned this match by winning the Owen Hart Cup for 2024. And this is the one match where I do not know who's going to win, where it is very, very hard to make a prediction. Essentially, Bryan Danielson's contract is up, and he's ready to retire. He's not retiring. He's dialing back from becoming a full-time performer, but he's still going to be wrestling throughout the year, right? Kind of like Sting. Wrestle Dream is also coming up, and Darby Allin, Swerve, Danielson are all from Washington State. With that in mind, my thought process is that I could see Danielson winning and holding the belt till Wrestle Dream to possibly see maybe Swerve or Darby get the belt. I could also see Swerve retaining, because Swerve has went back to some of his heelish tendencies, bringing up Danielson's family, saying that he's going to hurt him, saying that he's going to make sure he stays retired. And for Danielson's part, he's been questioned about, do you still have that fire? Said by Jeff Jarrett, it was said by Eddie Kingston, but we saw this past week on Dynamite that Danielson has said that what we all know, that he is the best wrestler on the planet and has been for the last 20 years. He is that guy. And when that Bryan Danielson shows up, when the American Dragon shows up, no one can touch him. Whose house? This is also Swerve's house, who has proven that, yeah, you can put the weight of the company on my shoulders and I will carry it proudly. And Swerve is not above reproach to get the job done. This is going to be a fantastic match. Period. The winner is so hard to decide, because part of me is like, Swerve should have a really long run as champion. But we also, as fans, believe that Danielson should get one last world championship run. And with the winner of the Casino Gauntlet sticking out like a sore thumb, with the winner of the Royal Rampage, Darby Allin, sticking out, it's a toss-up. Because Darby and Swerve has history, and if Hangman wins the Gauntlet, he and Swerve also have history. Remember, Hangman was like, yo, I will make sure to bury Swerve. But I'm going to go with my heart and not my head and pick Bryan Danielson to walk out the winner. I just think he needs one more world championship run. I just think he's earned it. And Swerve can get the belt back. Swerve is going to be at the top of the card for a very, very long time. So take Bryan Danielson to walk away as your new AEW World Champion. Let's go over our winners one more time. On 0 Hour, Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway to defeat Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii. Chris Jericho to defeat Hook, retaining the FTW Championship. Darby Allin defeating Jack Perry in the Coffin match to become the new TNT Champion. Hangman Page to win the Casino Gauntlet match, earning himself a World Championship match at All Out, I believe. I have the Patriarchy retaining the AEW World Trio Championships in the Fatal 4-Way match. I have the Acclaim defeating the Young Bucks and FTR to become the new AEW World Tag Team Champions. I have Mercedes Moné defeating Britt Baker to retain the TBS Championship. I have Will Ospreay defeating MJF to become the new American and then rechristening as back to the International Championship. I have Mariah May defeating Tony Storm to become the new AEW Women's World Champion. And lastly, I have Bryan Danielson defeating Swerve Strickland to become the new AEW World Champion. But let me know what you guys think. That is our show. Coming up, we've got our All Out preview. We got another list. We got Flashback Friday for next week. We've got our All Out predictions card, which I think is going to be really, really good. A really fun show. We're going to do Let's Talk About that. And check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. And as always, Anna J, Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander, Gigi Dolan, Bayley, and Isla Dawn. Holla at your boy. Peace.